What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got some insane blue lock theory for you, and it's going to completely blow your minds maybe. If you're new here, make sure to drop a sub and hit that notification bell, it really helps the channel out. But let's get into the actual topic. Blue Lock chapter 308 just dropped and everyone's talking about Sei joining the team and Nagi declining Buratsuta's offer, but I think everyone's missing the most obvious setup in manga history. After reading these spoilers, I'm calling it right now, Kira Ryosuke is 100% coming back, and it's going to be the most perfectly executed narrative payoff this series has ever delivered. And honestly, if Kaneshiro doesn't do this, he's fumbling one of the greatest storytelling opportunities in sports manga. Let me break down what happened in chapter 308 because this shit is crucial. Hirotoshi Buratsuta, the fat director who's been skeptical of Blue Lock from day one, approaches Nagi with an offer to return to Blue Lock. Turns out the U20 World Cup roster can have up to 26 players, and this guy made a deal with Ego to select 3 additional players in exchange for approving the project budget. These 3 are being called the Buratsuta 3, and here's where it gets interesting. Buratsuta's conditions for Nagi weren't just come play football. He specifically wanted Nagi to actively challenge and disprove Ego's methods. This motherfucker is literally recruiting players whose entire job is to prove that Ego's philosophy is wrong, the one who gave him all that fame. But yeah, Nagi declined because he's loyal to Blue Lock and doesn't think Ego was wrong, but that's just one slot down. Then Sei calls Buratsuta and confirms he's taking one of the 3 spots, but only to play against Spain after the group stage, so that's slot 2 accounted for. But here's comes the theory, there's still 1 slot left, and Buratsuta is specifically looking for players who want to prove Ego wrong. And who was the very first character in this entire manga to say exactly that? Fucking Kira Ryosuke. Think about it. Kira was literally the anti-Ego from chapter 1. This guy represented everything Blue Lock was designed to destroy. Traditional teamwork mentality, playing it safe, following conventional football wisdom. He got eliminated in the very first selection when Isagi shot him in that tag game, but his reaction to that elimination tells us everything we need to know about his mindset. After getting eliminated, Kira didn't think, I need to get stronger individually, or I should have been more selfish. Instead, he blamed the system itself. He saw Blue Lock's elimination-based approach as fundamentally wrong and believed that proper teamwork and traditional football values were superior. Kira has spent the entire time since his elimination believing that Ego's methods are fundamentally flawed and that conventional team-based football is the right way to play. But let's think about what Kira actually represents in the broader context of the series. Even though he was eliminated by the tag game mechanics, his entire football philosophy was always about playing the correct way, prioritizing team harmony, making safe passes, following traditional striker roles. He was the embodiment of conventional Japanese football that Blue Lock was specifically created to replace. This is basically a job application written specifically for Kira. Buratsuta wants someone who will challenge Ego's philosophy. Kira's been doing that since day one. Buratsuta wants someone who believes Blue Lock's approach is wrong. That's literally Kira's entire character motivation. Buratsuta wants someone who can prove that teamwork beats individualism. Kira probably jerks off to the thought of proving exactly that. But here's where this gets really fucking clever from a storytelling perspective. Kira coming back isn't just fan service or nostalgia bait, it's setting up the perfect thematic climax for the entire series. We're going to get the ultimate philosophical showdown between Blue Lock's destroy your teammates to become the ultimate egoist versus traditional football's work together as a team to achieve victory. And I'm calling it right now, here's exactly how this is going to play out. Kira comes back as the 3rd Buratsuta pick, and initially he's going to look like he was right all along. Japan's going to start strong in the World Cup, probably making it through the group stage. According to the chapter, Japan's group includes Nigeria, England, and France, some serious competition. But Kira's teamwork first mentality might actually be perfect for navigating group stage football where you need consistent performances rather than individual brilliance. Picture this, Kira comes in and immediately starts setting up other players. Maybe he assists Rin for a crucial goal against England. Maybe his passing creates space for the Blue Lock kids to operate. Maybe his more traditional approach confuses opponents who've been preparing for Japan's new selfish striker philosophy. For the first few games, it's going to look like maybe Ego's entire philosophy was bullshit. All the Blue Lock kids are going to start doubting themselves. Maybe Isagi starts second-guessing his ego. Maybe other players start wondering if they should have focused more on teamwork, friendship, and rainbows. The media's gonna eat it up, calling it a vindication of traditional Japanese football values. Buratsuta's gonna be gloating like he just proved the earth is flat. But here's what's really going to fuck with people's heads, the psychological impact on every single Blue Lock character. For Isagi specifically, seeing Kira again would be like looking at a reflection of his past self. Remember, Isagi was the guy who killed Kira in the first selection, but now, after everything he's learned about ego and individual ambition, he'd be watching Kira make the same mistakes that nearly cost Isagi his own development. But then we hit the knockout rounds, and this is where everything changes. Group stage football and elimination football are completely different beasts. In the group stage, you can afford to play it safe, to make the percentage plays, to prioritize not losing over trying to win. But in do-or-die knockout games, especially against top-tier opponents, you need players who can create something from nothing. Let's say Japan makes it to the semifinals against Spain, which would be perfect because because that's exactly where Sei wants to prove himself against Bunny. Spain's probably going to have players who've been through their own version of ego development, guys who can score impossible goals when it matters most. And that's when Japan's going to realize that all the beautiful passing in the world doesn't matter if nobody has the balls to take the shot when everything's on the line. But then we hit the semifinals or maybe even the final, and Japan faces a team with players who have that killer instinct, that pure ego that Blue Lock was designed to create. And in the crucial moment when Japan needs someone to step up and take that impossible shot, to risk everything for personal glory, Kira's going to do what he's always done: pass the ball. Maybe it's the 89th minute and Japan's down by 1. Maybe it's a penalty shootout. Maybe it's just a moment where someone needs to say, fuck the team, I'm scoring this goal myself. And Kira, because he's fundamentally still the same player who passed to Isagi in Chapter 1, is going to make the smart team play instead of the ego play. And Japan's going to lose because of it. That's when ego's philosophy gets vindicated, not through some speech or explanation, but through the cold reality of what happens when you prioritize team harmony over individual ambition in the biggest moments. Kira's return isn't just about bringing back a fan-favorite character. It's about setting up the ultimate proof that Blue Lock's methods, as harsh and psychologically destructive as they are, actually work. The beautiful irony is that Kira's failure won't be because he's not talented enough or because he doesn't understand football. It'll be because his fundamental worldview is incompatible with what it takes to win at the highest level. He'll lose, not despite his teamwork mentality, but because of it. This would also create incredible character development opportunities for the Blue Lock kids. Imagine Isagi watching Kira make the same mistakes that got him eliminated, but now understanding why those choices are wrong. Imagine Rin or Shidu seeing their egotistical approach validated on the world stage. Imagine Ego finally getting the ultimate proof that his methods, no matter how controversial, produce results. From a meta-narrative perspective, it's also fucking genius because it addresses every criticism the series has faced. People have complained that Blue Lock promotes unhealthy individualism over teamwork. People have said that real football requires cooperation and that the series is unrealistic. Kira's return and ultimate failure would be Kanashiro's way of saying, yeah, I heard your complaints, and here's why they're wrong. Plus, it would create this beautiful symmetry with the beginning of the series. We started with Kira getting eliminated for being too team-focused. We'd end with Japan getting eliminated because they relied too heavily on someone who's too team-focused. It's poetic justice and thematic completion all rolled into one. The setup is already perfect. Buratsuta has explicitly stated he wants players who will challenge ego's methods. Kira is literally the poster child for anti-Blue Lock philosophy. There's one spot left in the Buratsuta 3. The World Cup is the perfect stage for this kind of ideological showdown. All the pieces are in place, and honestly, if this doesn't happen, I'm going to be genuinely disappointed because it's such an obvious and perfect narrative move. Like, this is the kind of setup that makes you go, of course, how did I not see this coming, when it's revealed. It's been building since Chapter 1, even if we didn't realize it at the time. The only question is whether Kanashiro has the balls to actually follow through with it. Bringing Kira back just to have him fail again might seem cruel to some readers, but it would be thematically consistent and emotionally satisfying in the context of the series' overall message. Sometimes the most powerful storytelling moments come from characters failing because of their fundamental nature, not despite it. So yeah, mark my words. Kira Ryosuke is coming back as the third Buratsuta pick, and his return is going to set up either the most satisfying thematic conclusion this series could have, or the biggest missed opportunity in sports manga history. Based on how Kanashiro has handled the story so far, I'm betting on the former. We're about to get the ultimate Blue Lock versus traditional football showdown, and it's going to be fucking beautiful to watch unfold.